Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's a little bit afterward. We said we would get started. My name is Ray Lutz, R-A-Y-L-U-T-Z. I'm with Citizens Oversight, citizensoversight.org. Tonight we're standing in front of a very unusual event. It should be unusual. However, in this time, these strange meetings have become all too common. This is a meeting of the former head of the California Public Utilities Commission, who recently had to abandon his post. And in the last several weeks, his home was searched, and that information divulged that he had been involved in surreptitious meetings with industry executives in Warsaw, Poland, and now we're seeing in many other places across the globe about apparently deals for the San Onofre plant, for the San Bruno explosion disaster, for the fires in San Diego, all of these disasters that have happened in recent times. We're now becoming aware that it is a concocted bunch of schemes by these heads of the Utility Commission. And the attendees that you see here tonight are essentially a who's who list of the cronies and people that are in bed with the CPUC and the utilities. Somehow they are making money out of your pocket as you're a ratepayer. As a ratepayer, you're required, if you're in one of these for-profit utility areas, to pay for your utilities. That goes into their schemes, making our utility rates some of the highest in the nation, if not the highest. Compared with municipals, for example, Anaheim, Sacramento, and LA, they pay about an average of $160 per megawatt hour. San Diego, $374, more than 2 times. Why is that? It's because they're siphoning the money out into the schemes that we're now becoming aware of. The people here tonight are, if you take every single one of these people, you'll either find a green-wrapped shell corporation that is taking money out of the hands of the ratepayers and running it through those, or you see union representatives, you see people that are contractors. Everybody that gets money from the utilities are coming here tonight. And what is the reason? To pay their respects and their homage to the leader, their fearless leader of this essential white-collar crime that's going on. This man, Michael Peevey, was dethroned from his position of power, and now he's seeking another landing place. This meeting tonight was sanctioned and set up by the University California, Berkeley Goldman School of Public Policy. Dean Henry Brady is behind this. He is the one who set up this meeting, and when I called him, he refused to understand that Michael Peevey has just been found out. This meeting in Warsaw, Poland is a smoking gun, and this is going to take him down and everybody else down that walks in this door, we hope. We hope that we're not asking for punishment per se. We're asking for their rigging of the system to be undone and put back in the hands of openness, propriety, and democracy, and out of the hands of essentially what looks like a mafia crime ring. I've only been looking at this for the last 2 years, and I'm astounded at how this system works. I'm astounded at how dirty it is. I'm astounded at how closed it is. I'm astounded at how they have a public process that looks like they're doing something for the public, and it's all a hoax. That public process really doesn't do anything except just look there for show. And behind the scenes, what do you have? You have the private meetings in Warsaw, Poland. You have the private meetings in London, Australia. They're globetrotters. These are federal crimes because they're doing it outside the country. We asked them for their documentation. They were required by law to turn it over. They did not. Why? Because they were hiding it and they know that it was wrong what they were doing. This is a disgusting display of the worst that happens in America right here. This meeting tonight are everybody bowing down to the king of corruption, Michael Peevey, and his California Public Utilities Commission, which is raping every ratepayer in this California that has to pay rates to a public utility. Now, I'm sure that there's one or two things that have done that are good by Michael Peevey. When you hear his list of things, you say that guy is almost a saint. But when you look under the wrapper, you look into each one of those organizations, you find that there's nothing in them. You find that they're just a way to siphon money out of the ratepayer's pocket. Now, I'd like to introduce some other speakers tonight that I'd like to have a few words. First on the agenda is we're very fortunate to have. This is a powerhouse of information, far more than I ever have, because I only started working on this recently. But I'd like to introduce now Loretta Lynch, former Public Utilities Commissioner. So she knows Public Utilities President. Come on up, Loretta. Let me get that right. Please introduce yourself and make sure you're going to Loretta Lynch.
Hi, I'm here tonight to protest the fact that all of these people who are paid by companies who have financial interests in front of the PUC are here to give money on behalf of Mike Peevey, who is under federal and state investigation for bribery and corruption. I think because government officials who are currently sitting, who have business, are going to be here tonight, and people who are coming to this dinner have business in front of these government officials. So what that is just another opportunity for another big, illegal, ex-parte meetings that destroys people's faith and trust in government. And therefore, I am here to protest the fact that this potentially big ex-parte meeting is occurring tonight in San Francisco.
So what do you see as the problem with these?
The problems with the current PUC are that they no longer follow the law or the process or have the ratepayers' interests at heart. Instead, they have been completely co-opted by the companies they regulate. So the regulator has become the lapdog of the regulator. That is not what Governor Hiram Johnson wanted in 1911 when the PUC was reformed. That is not what the people wanted when they passed an initiative to reform the Ban Corrupt Commission. That is not what the people today want. I believe the people of California need to make their voices known, that we will no longer stand for corruption by state regulators who have a job to do in the public interest, and they should not be putting their personal interests in front of the public interest.
Thank you very much, Loretta.
Hi, Mike.
And thank you, everyone that is making it possible for us to get the message that we're trying to convey to our fellow citizens in our beloved state of California. Julianne Morgan was the premier architect, woman architect in the 30s and 40s. And the ballroom that the event tonight is being held in is named after her. Tonight we are here to watch a walk of shame. We are saddened because so many of these people are our friends. Many of us who happen to be Democrats are aligned with them philosophically, emotionally, and historically. But Dr. King taught us long ago that non-cooperation with evil is as much a moral duty as cooperation with good. And we cannot cooperate, we cannot ignore, we have to give testimony that our friends and neighbors and family, in some cases, that are coming through those doors, aligned with our governor, holding important positions in labor, a dean from the beloved University of California, Berkeley, all of whom are brought together and held together by the glue of corruption spread by Mr. Peevey. Mr. Peevey needs to abdicate. He needs to stop his bad behavior. He needs to release and allow to go free the people that are here tonight. We are here to witness who shows up and to try and encourage them to walk away from the corruption. The impact of what is happening at the California Public Utilities Commission is hard to understand for some people who are well off, but for the people that I represent, for the woman I represent who delivers meals to terminally ill patients every day, who are terrified to open up their bill, not just from SEMPRA and SDG&E, but all of their bills, but in particularly the bills that they get from the utilities because they're the highest in the country. They're the most oppressive. Our businesses, our families, our military, our universities, our nonprofits are all being exploited and used and abused and injured, and we need to have it stop. So this is a small event tonight for us, but those of us that have been working on this for some time are starting to see momentum. We're starting to see this word spread. Our wonderful members of the media are stepping forward and they're beginning to ask questions. And they're beginning to gather documents. Our state attorney general courageously has stepped in and has initiated an important lawsuit, and in the very first publicly known effort has issued search warrants. And the Attorney General's office is aligning itself with the people. Our U.S. Attorney in San Francisco is doing so. Our message today is, it's time to stand up. It's time to speak out. We need our U.S. Attorney in San Diego. We need our U.S. Attorney in Los Angeles to look into the $5 billion fraud. $5 billion, that's not a made-up number. That's what the people of Southern California will have to pay for electricity from the San Onofre plant that will produce no electricity. What type of world do we live in when our citizens under Michael Peevey are made to pay $5 billion for electricity that they're not receiving? How can that possibly be just or correct under any conceivable set of circumstances or set of arguments? So we're all here tonight together to celebrate the positive of reform, to celebrate the goodness of good people coming together, and hopefully to start to turn the tide on the forces of corruption, and to say in the year 2015, as in the year of 1912, that the leadership in California stood up and said no more. We are going to restore our state government, our public utilities, all of our political figures to representation of the needs of the people, and to stop the idea that public office is an opportunity for private profit. Thank you very much for allowing me to participate, and thank you for allowing for you to carry out our message in the way that we've tried to. Thank you.
My name is Steve Zeltzer, Z-E-L-T-Z-E-R, and I'm with the No Nukes Action and United Public Workers for Action Committee. And I had an experience at the last meeting of the California Public Utility Commission. I said that I was happy that Michael Peevey was retiring, but he should go to jail. And at which point the highway patrolman came up and tried to arrest me for speaking. at the meeting of the California Public Utility Commission. And in fact, the whole meeting was orchestrated because the first part of it was corporate-funded people from our tax dollars speaking for hours and hours about how wonderful Michael Peevey was on his retirement. We're talking here about not just criminal corruption that he was on the take to these corporations, PG&E and the Southern California Edison. We're talking about people dying because of his malfeasance. Pacific Gas and Electric fires whistleblowers at PG&E who complained about the gas leak in San Bruno. They were fired and they were retaliated against. Whistleblowers have been fired at Humboldt College as a result of what's going on. So the workers, unfortunately, are trying to do the right thing, and they're retaliated against exactly by Michael Peevey in cahoots with the PG&E and Southern California Edison. So what are we saying here today? Well, for us, we're saying that he should be criminally prosecuted. But it's not enough to prosecute Michael Peevey, because he wasn't alone in this corruption. These utilities, which are supposed to be regulated by him, should also be indicted and prosecuted for criminal corruption. They were bribing their way to get special favors from Michael Peevey. And who was paying for these special favors? It was the ratepayers of California, who have spent billions of dollars, who have had health and safety problems, who have had problems with the smart meters, who have problems with cell phones. There's not proper regulation for the protection of the people of California. This is what the California Public Utilities Commission was supposed to do. It was supposed to protect the people against those interests that have a lot of money. And they have billions of dollars, and their billions of dollars comes from the ratepayers. That's where their money comes. From us, from the people of California. Now, it is true that, as a matter of fact, the PG&E customers pay far more in their payments than than Sacramento Public Utility District. And the reason is it's a private utility. They have spent tens of millions of dollars fighting public power in California with our money fighting public power. This company, which is helping to host this dinner, and we call it Crooks Honoring Crooks. That's really what this is, Crooks Honoring Crooks. PG&E is not an efficient company. And one of the key reasons it's not efficient is they want to sell more electricity, they want to sell more gas to make more profit when you can be more efficient. Why is that? Well, the fact of the matter is energy use in California is going down. People are using more solar. People are becoming more efficient, but our rates are going up. How could that be? Why would our rates be going up when energy is going down? It's because they keep raising the rates. What the utilities have said, and it's not just PG&E and Southern California Edison, but utilities all over the country have said that they have a revenue decline, a long-term revenue decline, and what are they going to do about that revenue decline? Well, what they're going to do about the revenue decline is to raise rates for the ratepayer and the public nationally to pay for Diablo Canyon, to pay for the decommissioning of these nuclear plants. We're talking billions, tens of billions, and maybe even hundreds of billions of dollars of cost to decommission these nuclear plants. So what we are saying is we cannot have an efficient electrical system with PG&E and Southern California Edison in charge. They are not going to do the right thing. It's like banks are not going to do the right thing. Therefore profits, as is PG&E and Southern California Edison. Our view is there has to be public power under community labor control, and we are also speaking out against the union, IBW 1245, which is probably here tonight, and have given previous honors to Michael Peevey, and they've given him honors for being a great person. Well, frankly, when you attack workers who are defending health and safety, you're not a great person. When you allow these utilities to do what they've done as far as covering up in the health and safety, you're not serving the public, and you're not serving the workers who work at PG&E. And all of you know who live in the Bay Area, PG&E is spending tens of millions of dollars in ads about how wonderful the workers are. They have a lot of ads. The workers want to keep the lights on. They want to make sure that people have their power. All well and good, and I support the workers. But the workers are not the problem. It's the management and owners of PG&E who are the problem. They want to do the right thing, but they have a management that basically is interested in making more profit at the cost of the ratepayer and at the cost of the workers. So we're here today to say those people who are coming in to honor Peevey themselves should be investigated for their corporate ties to this corruption, and also The Attorney General, Kamala Harris, the U.S. Attorney, has to start investigating and prosecuting PG&E in Southern California Edison. It's not enough to prosecute the regulators. You have to prosecute those people who have actually benefited financially from the corruption in this regulatory agency. And the PUC has, according to some, has done a good job, including Governor Brown. Now, I don't happen to agree with some of the previous speakers about the Democrats. The Democrats get money from these corporate executives, and the Democratic Party is not about to clean up itself, unfortunately. Governor Brown, to the last day, in fact, after Peevey was removed, said he was doing a good job. Well, is the governor on the job? Is he on the job for the people of California, or is he on the job for PG&E? That's what the people have to ask. How can Governor Brown say that he's doing a good job when he's been, there's evidence of email, there's evidence of collusion between him and the utilities? Is that a good job for the people of California? That's a new level of, I think, corruption within the California Public Utility Commission. And Governor Brown, by saying he's still doing a good job, even if he was forced out to leave, is actually not serving the public. He needs to apologize to the people of California for telling the people that Michael Peevey is doing a good job. And we have to recognize that the connections that these utilities have are very deep. They give money, they give a lot of money, they give a lot of PR, and they want to prevent the people of California from having real control over regulation. This is something we're here today to stop. We're saying they have to be prosecuted. We say people have to be educated about the role of Michael Peevey and the utilities, and we have to have a system in which people are really protected in California. So thank you very much.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to make a point here. The reason this happens to this regulatory agency has to do with the fact that we as citizens have not been watching closely enough. And if you stop watching after not too long, turns out only about 12 years in this case, when Michael Peevey was in charge, it'll go from an organization that may be respecting the wishes and the direction that the community needs to go, into one that's going in the wrong direction. And it's orchestrated. They have orchestrated it such that it's nearly impossible to figure out. There's so many layers of obfuscation and complexity that it takes attorneys lots of money, lots of time to figure this out. We're committed to working our way through this. Now, there's many other specific areas where this Public Utilities Commission has made questionable decisions, and that people have been raising concerns about what they've been doing. One of those really big issues that I'd like to speak on myself is the Diablo Canyon nuclear power plant that's still in operation. It was supposed to be more than 30 kilometers from any fault line, and now we know it's within 600 meters of the closest active fault line, which could turn this into a disaster worse than Fukushima. And I say worse because Fukushima blew their radioactive emissions offshore. We would be blowing them onshore. And that would make most of California a no man's land for habitation. But there are other issues. San Onofre is the one that I've been working on, and it is now, we're seeing a huge bailout, improper bailouts. I'd like to introduce now a woman who's been working in the area of the smart meters area, and her name is Mary Beth Brandon. I'd like to introduce her now. Come on up, Mary Beth, and speak about the smart meters issue.
Hello, I'm Mary Beth Brandon from the Ecological Options Network, and I've been an intervener at the California Public Utilities Commission on the issue of smart meters and smart meters being forced to be installed on every home. What people don't understand is that the radiation they emit constantly, 24/7, is considered a Class 2B carcinogen. So we have objected to the forced installation of Class 2B carcinogens on people's homes. People have become very, very ill. And what we've seen since the release of the 65,000 emails are emails that prove without a question of a doubt the same pattern of corruption of the CPUC process happening with the smart meter proceeding as happened with the San Onofre rate case proceeding. The emails reveal that there was a plan to make sure that the smart meters were fully installed before the proceeding decision would come out. And so therefore, the proceeding was moot. It was a charade. And it was delayed, and that was participated in by, unfortunately, the ALJ, the judge at the CPUC. And we're really speaking out here because this isn't just corruption and they've done naughty things. These are decisions that have been made that have cost people their homes, their lives, property damage. This is not something trivial. We can't have the regulators of our public utilities not regulating. We have to have them protecting us, the public. So for honoring Peevey, Commissioner Peevey, I do have to say that in his defense, he did acknowledge, according to the emails, that people do get pain from being exposed to pulsing microwaves. And he did want to have the utilities make arrangements so that not everyone would have to accept one of these devices on their homes. But he didn't insist upon it, and the utilities wishes prevailed. So unfortunately, Commissioner Peevey really did fail us. So I'm thankful that we are seeing the pattern of the corruption here so that now we can do something about it. The public has got to stand up for our rights and insist that we be protected from the most powerful industries in our state, which is the utility companies. Thank you.
Okay, last but not least, I'd like to introduce Paul Kangas, who has a very interesting topic about the solar and AB, was it 327?
Yes, AB 327 was signed into law in California in December 2013, yet almost nobody has realized it because the media didn't cover it. It was the mandate of the state of California to develop 33% renewable energy for the state, to shift this away from oil, away from atomic energy. And Michael Peevey violated the mandate, violated the law, and instead covered up the fact that the state had passed a solar feed-in tariff for the whole state of California, which would have allowed us to require PG&E to pay solar homeowners 39 cents a kilowatt hour for harvesting solar energy and feeding it onto the grid. This is a major breakthrough. This law exists in most countries around the world. It exists in Japan at 53 cents a kilowatt hour. In Germany at 99 cents a kilowatt hour. I wrote an article on it. It's on the front page of the Bayview News, pointing out that this mandate of Assembly Bill 327 is the savior that will allow us to shift to solar and renewable. Yet Peevey violated it, and could result in numerous loss of lives when Diablo inevitably has a problem with a quake or melts down. So it's important for people to be aware, and the media to be aware, that the state of California passed this law, which helps us achieve the mandate of 33% solar and renewable. Governor Brown just spoke a couple weeks ago saying that we need to have 50% renewables. The only way we're going to get 50% renewables is if we switch to a free source of energy, which is solar and renewables. You can't do it with oil because the air is becoming too toxic. So it's important for people to take a look at Assembly Bill 327 and see how it would help solar homeowners get paid for harvesting solar energy, turning a home into a utility, a new energy company. Thank you.
That's a typical case of the utilities saying and the CPUC saying, oh, we're doing all we can to move to green energy and renewables. And the fact is, they're dragging their feet with all their might. And the reason is because they're watching billions of dollars fall off the table of what they would be making if they were able to sell you that power. Look, solar energy is something that we all can generate on our own. We don't have to go to the utilities to get that. Now, the people that are attending are going to be starting to come in here tonight in a few minutes. And we're going to be watching them as they come in and trying to document who they are and trying to figure out how they fit into the white-collar crime network that's been established by Michael Peevey and his 12 years as the president of the commission. Now, this is a very broad network with its hooks into many different areas, so it may take some time to figure out how they've actually done it. I want to thank everybody for being here today for our press conference as we turn now to witnessing the associates of Michael Peevey and his gang. Thank you again, and if you'd like more information, please come to citizensoversight.org, where we're trying to capture all of the information regarding this important issue and to break up this, basically I consider it a pump. It's a pump from all of the ratepayers, and it pumps it up to Wall Street investors. And if you're interested in the agenda of Occupy movement, for example, and trying to equalize, then you'll want to look at how these utilities act as a huge pump to pump out of everyone's pocket and up to the ultra wealthy in this nation. Thank you very much.